안녕하세요, 나미입니다. Hi, it's Nami. Today I'm here to talk about how I found out that I was pregnant with second baby and also what my symptoms were. We do have a birth vlog of baby number 2 right up here. I'll link it up here. So if you want to check that out, that'll be, on the side available for you. And we will just jump right in. Michael and I did plan our second pregnancy. If you did not know, I had 2 C-sections, and if you do have 1 C-section, there's still a chance for you to be able to give birth naturally. And I did a video all about my 2 C-sections and kind of about C-sections and natural birth after C-sections. I'll put it up here as well so you can check that out. But basically, to have a chance to try for a natural birth after only 1 C-section, if you have more than 1 C-section, you are usually not allowed to try for a natural labor after that. But to try for a natural delivery after C-section, you do have to have a 2-year span from cesarean section baby's birth and the due date of the VBAC, vaginal birth after cesarean. Galahad, my first son, was born in July of 2013, and so we planned for their age gaps to be 2.5 years. That way we can be a little bit safer, and we did want that kind of age gap for the 2 first kids, just because we didn't want the age gap to be too big, but at the same time we didn't want to have them so close together so that it would be difficult for us. We thought 2.5 would be perfect, and for their schooling they would be 3 grades apart, just because of the months that they're born. So we were aiming for Ziek, our second son, to be born February of 2016. Counting back 10 months from February 2016, that would have been. And I do want to talk a little bit about the reason why I wanted the second child at that time. I have spoken in the past about how Michael and I want many children. We want a big family. We did initially want 5 kids just because we think that a big family is full of joy. It's full of, experiences and relationship building. Michael grew up with a big family with lots of cousins and uncles and aunts, and it was very fun for him. And on the other hand, you might know that I grew up literally all alone, just with my mom, but even then my mom was working 11 hours a workday, so she wasn't even there. And for me, it was very, very lonely. I want a big family. I was always jealous of my friends with siblings. I told my mom, like she had me at 39, but I told her, Mom, I want a younger brother. But she's like, girl, I'm too old. I'm gonna go through menopause soon. But yes, we wanted a big family. And we still do want a big family, just in a different way. But before I get to why Ziek, I do want to mention that I've done a video talking about how we found out we were pregnant with Galahad, the first son, what my symptoms were, and how we went about that. I'll link it right here, so you can check that out and listen to that story as well. Even though we had good intentions with our family planning, and even though, it was for a good reason, and he just woke up from his nap. Even though it was, for good, and even though it has been a great blessing to me, I cannot leave out the selfish, unjustly reasons why I wanted to have Ziek sooner than later. I want to be honest with you. I want to be open with you. I want to tell you that I was very afraid of people. You probably know from some other videos I have mentioned that a lot of people talk about us. A lot of people stare at me on the streets. A lot of people, which I will do a video on, a lot of people judge us and look down on us. And even though they have the same sins, even though they have the same difficulties, even though they have the same struggles and the same life, worries, they still feel like they are better people than other people, and they judge and they point fingers and snicker and gossip, and they do that a lot. A lot of it doesn't bother me, or maybe I got used to it, or maybe I just became strong and confident in who I know that I am. But at that time when we were planning Ziek's pregnancy, I was conscious of the gossip and conscious of the difficulties in people looking at us and looking at Galahad. I was 17 when I had Galahad, and even though it was 2 years past, people are still talking, people are still laughing, people are saying, oh, look at them, they got married because they were pregnant, look at them, how hilarious. How hilarious. You're hilarious. What an accident family. Oh, it was a shotgun marriage, which No, it wasn't. We were actually planning our marriage for years. We were planning to get married a few months to a year from our actual wedding date. So no. Yes, our wedding date came sooner because we were pregnant, but we were already planning our wedding, and we were already talking to our parents and trying to get their approval for our marriage. I just felt like people didn't know that, and to prove them wrong, I needed to have a second child so that they can look at our family and think, oh, I guess it looks more intentional than an accident. So my fear of people, to an extent, and what they're saying about us, what they're saying to each other about us, how they look at us on the streets, even strangers, acquaintances, family, friends, even previous former friends. They always have something to say. They always have some look that they give. And that bothered me to a degree. It wasn't something I was like losing sleep over, but it was something that affected me a lot. And I actually felt that if I had a second child, our family of 4 would look more like an intentional family and less like an accident or a shotgun marriage. So going back to when we actually were trying to get pregnant, in like April-ish. My period at the time was at the end of the month. Hi! It's funny because for the video that I talk about Galahad's pregnancy and finding out about being pregnant with Galahad was in the room with me, and then today Zeke is in the room with me. My period wasn't in the middle of the month. It was kind of at the end and at the beginning. We kind of thought we would have rather had Zeke in January compared to in March, even if February was our birth goal. Oh, you're so excited, Zeke. So in between March and April, we tried to have Zeke. And I did mention when we got pregnant with Galahad, it was a very low chance of pregnancy, like completely low. Honestly, this is my honest opinion. I think God was at work to help create a situation and a life that would heal me of my terrible brokenness as a person and allowed for that pregnancy to happen, even if it was like 0.00001 chance, because we were trying really hard not to get pregnant. And for Zeke, we actually got pregnant the first month that we tried. And the next week after we tried, I started feeling symptoms immediately. With Galahad, I didn't feel anything at all. The whole pregnancy, I was like flying in heaven. I was like, this is wonderful. I have no period. I'm eating great. Everything is yummy except for onions and garlic. But with Zeke, no way. I was like, look at this child right now. Do you think this child was easy in my tummy? No way, Jose. I was so sick with him. There were actually studies done about degree of morning sickness and degree of child health. So apparently, if the child is very strong or they have some sort of hormone or gene that makes them a very healthy and strong baby with like good health, oftentimes that hormone or that something that is from them is so strong that the mother's body will actually detect it as something foreign apart from her body and will actually react in a very negative way, such as vomiting, nausea, pain, dizziness, lack of appetite. I had very bad morning sickness, but I didn't throw up. I never threw up. I only threw up after Zeke's C-section, but throughout the pregnancy, I did not throw up. The week after my ovulation period, I was like, excuse me, I'm pregnant. I was feeling all kinds of sick. I was super indigested. My food wasn't going down. I was dizzy. I was nauseous. I was feeling pain. It was just not good. And then I had spot bleeding, so then I knew, like, yeah, I'm pregnant. Spotting happens when the sperm and the egg meet and they fertilize. I don't know this, I didn't do any research, but basically after they fertilize, they become one cell and they start multiplying. They have to find a part of the uterus to attach to. They kind of help themselves so that they can grow from there and create a placenta that connects to the tube, connected to the fetus. And so when that implantation happens, oftentimes because they're implanting and becoming part of that uterus muscle, oftentimes there's bleeding during that process, and then it'll come out the vaginal cavity. After I had spot bleeding, after I was like super nauseous and super sick, I was like, yep, I'm pregnant. It worked. And then a few weeks afterwards, I did the test with the dollar store pregnancy tests. Obviously, they came out positive. And then from there, we saw my family doctor, and she kind of helped us through our pregnancy. She prescribed me the drug and medication. The drug and medication that actually helps with your nausea during pregnancy. I had to take that for a good 5 months, and halfway through my symptoms subsided. I actually didn't have it that bad. Like, I know people who felt so sick all the time that they could not function. They would just have to lie down. I mean, mine was pretty bad, but I hear from my friends, oh, Zeke! I mentioned that I wanted to have Zeke sooner than later because of my fear of people and their looks and their judgment and their gossip. But actually, during my pregnancy, that fear kind of went away, but I developed a new fear. I gained a new fear, and it was basically of Zeke. Because he was so... If you haven't watched the video where Michael and I talk in detail about our baby names, you will know that Zeke's name comes from the Hebrew name Ezekiel. We did take the Zeke out of Ezekiel, and basically Ezekiel means God strengthens him, or he is strengthened by God. Zeke comes from the second half of the word for strength. Boy, is this boy strong. Even as a fetus, it was kind of crazy. I was like, what is happening to my uterus? Because this child is kicking and hurting me every day. Multiple times a day. This is you, Zeke. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about you. Don't give me that smile, you cutie boy. Every day since I started to feel his movements, probably from around 5 to 6 months, all the way until I gave birth to him. He would do the stretch. I don't know which limb it was. I don't know which joint it was. It was so painful. Maybe like a heel or an elbow or a knee or something. He would do this stretch 3 times a day, multiple times a day, every single day. He would stretch like that for like a minute straight. He would do this huge stretch. He usually was in the same position in my stomach, and so every time he did the stretch, it would pull the same part of my uterus. This is pretty dangerous because I'm standing on a bar stool, but right here is my hip bone. Every time he did that stretch, it would push my uterus into my hip bone, and he would basically virtually squeeze my uterus between my pelvic bone and his whatever he was using to stretch. And it hurt every day. And I knew this child was no child. He was no, just kidding. He was just a very, very strong boy. And so because he was very strong, I was like, oh my goodness, he's physically strong. Is he gonna be personality strong as well, like me? I'm scared because then I have to wrestle him. I really have to fight him if he is gonna have the same personality as, which he does. I was really scared of that actually, because careful. I felt like if he had the same personality as me, like, I don't know, I was scared of that. The moment they removed him from my uterus, they lifted him. Here he is. Obviously, he's screaming on the top of his lungs. Galahad, he didn't scream. He actually failed the Apgar test, like we mentioned in Galahad's birth video, or the story of Galahad's birth video. But this child, like, he was just screaming on the top of his lungs. I looked over at him. I looked at his face and I went, oh no, he looks like me. There were about 8 to 12 people in the operating room. I don't know the exact number that operating surgical teams are composed of, but every single person in that operating room laughed. I was like, oh no. I think his confirmation of him looking like me, because that was something I was scared of as well. I was like, no, he's gonna look like me, he's gonna be ugly, and I don't know, like, oh, he's gonna have my poopy eyes or something, and it's gonna be so sad. Okay, but like, actually he's pretty cute. But I felt like the confirmation of him looking like me confirmed that his personality would kind of be similar. Kind of illogical, like, thinking, but that's how I felt and that's what I thought. And in a way, I feel like I kind of tried to make things happen in my own strength, just because I tried to fight my insecurities by covering them up with things that I could control or think that I can control. But in the end, God just like made my fear true. He actually made Zeke look like me, and he actually made his personality exactly like mine. I think God is teaching me a lesson and teaching me you're not the one that overcomes your struggles. You're not the one that can make a way out of any circumstance or any gossip or any judgment or any discrimination or any bullying or anything. You're not the one who does that. I do that. And I think he like literally told me that by using my methods and giving me what I feared. My methods of overcoming my insecurities of other people and giving me what I feared about my son through that method that I created. I have to constantly remember that it's God who strengthens. You know, the purpose of Zeke's name is to be reminded that God is our strength and God strengthens. In reality, we're only human. We can only do so much. Sometimes when there's no hope and there's like we're trying all that we can, sometimes it's just God just does it. Sometimes it's not even up to us. I mean, we still do the best of our abilities, but that's as much as we can do. We can't change the world, we can't change other people, we can't change other people's hearts or circumstances, we can't change anything outside of us. And even sometimes I don't think we can even change ourselves. Sometimes you will have those very dark times, sometimes you will go through those very harsh winters, and it's always a season. It's always going to pass. But in that moment when it's very, very difficult, sometimes it's almost impossible to be positive. It's impossible to be happy. It's impossible in that current mindset that you have to think of your blessings, count your blessings. Sometimes it's very, very difficult, and sometimes we can't change the way that we think that easily. And I think in those cases, you know, we can only do so much as people and as human beings. That's why I feel so secure, because I don't have to do anything. I just do my best and God does the rest. I think that's something that I constantly have to remind myself, because I want to share a story, a little quick story about our car. I just like wanted to share this kind of impromptu. But before Zeke was born, I was pregnant, and I think I was on my 3rd trimester. I was worried because we only had one Camry, and that's actually my mom's car. So I was thinking, if there's gonna be 6 of us, my mom, my dad, me, Michael, Galahad, and Zeke, at that moment, it was okay with just the Camry. But if we add Zeke too, how are we going to do transportation? How are we going to, you know, do things? And I was worried for a little bit. But, you know, I thought to myself, like, what's the point of being worried? If we worry, will it make it better? If we just worry and not do anything, will it make it better? No, it won't. At that moment, I was thinking, and I was worrying for like a few days. And I thought to myself, you know what? Like, I don't have to worry about this. If I trust God, that He will make a way, and He always provides. Somehow in my life, like, in some ways, I'm like, oh, God, do you, like, why are you blessing me so much? Because I feel like in a lot of ways, I am not worthy of it, and worthy of all those blessings, and worthy of His love and all the love that's around me, and yet He still provides. At night, I was thinking, like, what's the point of worrying? I shouldn't worry. God has always delivered. He's always provided. He's always met my needs and used my circumstances to make me into the person that He wants to make me, and make me into a better version of myself, and heal me and love me and just bless me with so many people around me, and whatever. You already know my spiel about all of the gratefulness that I have of everybody, including you. I was thinking, you know what? If He provides, He provides, and I don't have to worry. I just trust that it will just work out in the end. I went to sleep. The next morning, Michael woke me up. He's like nudging my arm, and he wakes me up. He's like, Nami, there's something important. Nami, one of his close friends' parents were actually getting a new van, and so they were going to either sell their old van or donate it to us. What? I don't know, like, something about that just makes me really emotional, because God always provides in our life. Like, it's incredible. We're going to talk about our wedding story a little bit in a different video, but even for our wedding, we met expenses to the penny, to the the change in Michael's best man's, gosh, I always cry. Why do I always cry? Why do I always cry? Why do I always cry? Cry. Sorry. To the change in Michael's best man's pocket, everything was provided for to the penny. And I think God made it to the penny so that he can be like, I will provide everything you need. And at that moment, I was just like, this is God. Like, who donates their van? At this moment, I do want to make a sincere thank you again to Dr. Sai and Miss Winnie, who generously supports us and loves us as well. Thank you for your generous heart, and we really thank God for you in our lives and how God blesses us through you. We are so thankful that you can be that kind of vessel for God to use, not just in our own lives, but also we are so encouraged to see God using your hand, blessing many other people beyond just us. Thank you, Dr. Sun. Thank you. I think the whole Ziek, everything about Ziek is so precious to me, and even my difficulties during the time when we were planning the pregnancy and during the pregnancy and even after giving birth, I think were all a blessing. I think all of the struggles were all a blessing, and I'm gonna say this over and over. I'm so thankful to God for all of the blessings that he places in our lives, all of the people in our lives. Michael, who is, y'all know how much Michael is a blessing to me. My family, my kids, my very close friends, very dear to me, my dear Faith family, and my dear Nacho fam. Look at all this family I have, oh my gosh! And I was a child who grew up all alone, like literally all alone. Gosh, I cry in every single video. I'm so sorry. Can you imagine a child who grew up all alone and now I have all of this family around me? Like, that's crazy to me. I don't even do anything. I don't do anything. I just do my best, and everything is always, gosh, honestly, everything is just always provided for. Ugh. And that doesn't mean, yeah, everything's provided for, then I can just be lazy and do nothing. You do the best of your ability. Like, I shared with you that a few months ago I was reading manga and watching dramas for like 8 hours a day. I was actually depressed during that time, and my relationship with Michael wasn't that good either at that time. It was really hard for me. Like, I had postpartum depression for literally years. 2-3 years I had postpartum depression. I was really depressed. Whatever circumstance you're in, it doesn't mean everyone should be at this level right here, doing this many hours of this many hours of that, this many hours of that. That's not what doing your best means. Doing your best means from your ability, doing the most of that. If we're gonna use money as an example, somebody who is low income sees someone else in need. They want to do their best for that person and do their best just in general, but they don't have that much money. Let's say they have $5 in their pocket. That's all they have on them as, loose change. Let's say someone else, and he's pretty well off because he manages like 5 stores across his city or something. And I'm not saying like all poor people are good, all rich people are bad. I'm just saying with your ability and using this as an example. If that man, let's say that man, he has $100 in his pocket in 20s. That's just change for him. He gives $20 to that person in need, but just because that 20 is more objectively than that 5, it doesn't mean that he did more than her. In fact, I would think that she did more than him because she gave to the best of her ability. Not just in money, I just use money as an example, but in everything else, in the time that you have, in the energy that you have, in the efforts that you can make, doing the best, pushing yourself and challenging yourself, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations so that you can grow. That's how we grow, and everything else just follows after that. While I'm talking about how I found out about Ziek and stuff, it's turned into more like ethics and philosophy. By the way, if you want to read our channel ethics and philosophy. We did put like some new information in the description just about how we want the direction of our channel to go and things like that, so you can check that out if you want. Also, make sure to watch the story of how I found out I was pregnant with Galahad as well. That one's called 17 and Pregnant. That one in itself is a separate journey. If you've already watched it, go over to that video and just comment something with Nacho Fam in it so that I know you came from this video. We are uploading very frequently and we do want to work hard for you, so please do subscribe if you want to stay updated, and make sure that the bell notifications are turned on so that you can come early to a new video, and I usually reply right away. I also post daily on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat, so if those are platforms that you use, then definitely check those out down below. That is it for this video, and I will see you next time. Bye. Love you.